Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? I'm Wissam Ali-Ahmad. I'm with Splunk. A little bit about myself. I've been in the security industry now for 15 years or so. And recently, very exciting field, which is combining analytics and security. So I want to talk to you today about the world of data and analytics and how that's relevant into the world of also your world. And show of hands of how many of you actually familiar with Splunk and okay, wow, more than half. That's awesome. Okay, so I'll try to skim through this, the principles here, the background of, as you know, machine data is everywhere. We talk about it all the time in the news. There's data everywhere, and it keeps coming and coming, right? There's data in your server infrastructure, data on the cloud, on the phone. Your phone right now is emitting so much data, DNS queries, and a whole bunch of things. And also social media. For business analytics, also you might be looking at customer behavior online and all that stuff. So with that amount of data, we need a better way to be able to analyze that, to make sense of it. And that's where Splunk is helping, help you the problem of needle in haystack, right? And be able to, look at things in my environment where now we've been talking about the dark data. And how do I find stuff, the golden nuggets in my data sets? And then there's a lot of things in your business, probably your CIO or your CISO and all the business side of things. They're asking you about, well, I want to make better sense of that data, right? Show me why did we get attacked? Show me why is our app infrastructure slow? I want to be able to see that. So and all the truth is actually in the data set. By able to correlate all that data, you can find the answers. And that's what kind of Splunk is a use case. Splunk started about 13 years ago as a log collection and tool, and people coined it as like the Google of IT because you can able to search for everything in the logs. But now it evolved into becoming really that platform, a fully featured platform for data analytics. So with Splunk, you're able to not only ingest the data, but also you're indexing it and searching on that data set in real time. And regardless of the volume of that data set, and regardless of the structure, whether it's structured data or unstructured, Splunk can actually still get, ability to give you analytics and, the answers that you're looking for. So these are just examples of some of these use cases. Ranges from IT, right? I want to see my uptime, and we have customer names here. For example, how can I predict? How can I predict something wrong is going on in my environment before even the customer able to see it? Also, I want to be able to look at my application performance, right? You've always heard in the IT world the blame game. You have the app developers blaming the operation team blaming, for example, maybe the network guy, and then you have security guy, and so on and so on. So how can I be able to get that visibility across my entire stack, from the application stack, quickly do that without having to rely on calling the IT guy, give me a log file, and what have you. So be able to find the performance bottlenecks. And the security is a big use case of a tool like Splunk, because security is a data problem. There's so many out there data. Did you look at the threats these days, whether they are advanced threats or insider threat? They're both. You need to look at multiple vectors of data sets and able to detect what really happened. And so on, business analytics cases. For example, Coca-Cola, or even Domino's here in this case, they actually use Splunk to analyze multiple data sets from the customer experience all the way down to the servers and the ordering process and the sensors they have in the factory, in the pizza making process. All the way down, when they run a campaign, they can actually track their campaign, the success of a campaign, all the way down throughout the whole operation chain they have. And Internet of Things, right? That's the edge. A lot of use cases there to analyze in real time, have these performance metrics around Internet of Things. And also you have sometimes use cases combining multiple of these and these use cases actually. So I want to talk about Akamai Splunk. So Akamai, amazing infrastructure that the internet runs on, and there's a lot of data and there's a lot of services that you want to able to continuously monitor and be able to predict performance. So some of the use cases of Akamai and Splunk is around visibility. I want to be able to have visibility across the entire Akamai services. And I'll show you some examples through that actual live demo. And I will be able to look at your performance in my environment. Along the lines of visibility, I'm sure you've heard of Data Stream. That's the new service offering from Akamai. And that's really critical, able to help you, give you that visibility across all your Akamai services. The insight, I'm able to see performance. If I introduce a new operational process and I go production in a new environment, I want to be able to quickly monitor that and look at the performance. And also identify any network outages. So Splunk is good at alerting you when a network outage is happening or maybe even about to happen. And you can use machine learning and Splunk to be able to predict a trend of network bottlenecks before even they happen. And security, of course, that's always a use case because we always, who's secure these days, right? You have to always kind of work with the zero trust aspect, always monitor, always find issues in your environment if there are even any vector or signs of an attack. And so Splunk helps you give you analytics on that. Even if the nature of the attacks change a little bit, you can actually tweak your Splunk searches to look for different patterns, to show you, for example, repetitive behaviors over a period of time. That's where analytics are powerful for. So coming soon, we're working more. We continue to work more. Today we have existing integrations with Akamai on the CDN network, but with the new data stream, Splunk is working with Akamai on integrating that data stream technology, able to push that data into Splunk. So make it easy for you customers, be able to bring that data and then the capability and the telemetry, that amazing you're going to be seeing from the data stream, bring that into Splunk. That helps you and make the onboarding even easier. Here's some example of the Akamai data in Splunk. And this is not a new app. This has existed for a couple of years now. But it really shows the richness of the data that you get in Akamai and Akamai data sets and what you can do in Splunk, right? So you can actually, I'm sure some of that capability exists in Akamai, but Splunk is going to help you able to have the visibility on that data in addition to other things, right? So you're able to correlate not only your CDN data or other data sets from Akamai, but able to actually bring that in and see what else happening in my environment, maybe behind just the Akamai services, right? In my whole entire stack for services, basically. So I'm able to do operational insight. I'm able to, in Splunk, be able to have these dashboards, able to give me historical what happened. So Splunk actually, we have customers, they coin Splunk as a truth engine because you're collecting everything in your environment, putting it in a Splunk. You can go back in time and see what happened like a few months back that caused this outage. Is it similar to the one we're seeing it today? So you can actually compare historical information that way. And you can also visualize that any way you want, graphical and what have you. Performance is another one. And user behavior. What are my users doing? What protocols they're using the most? Which apps they're using? And I'll show that actually in the demo soon. So let's talk about security. Security is very important, and that's really one of the use cases to always talk about these days because it's really hard. We have not solved the issue of detection of security threats and responding to these security threats. Moving forward, the next few years, we might have another WannaCry, right? That ransomware that happened a few years back that cost a lot of hospitals in the UK money. That's probably about to happen again in a different form. So how can you detect that? And if you don't detect it, it's going to cost you millions of dollars, estimated $3 trillion in the next few years. And so what do? We're always reacting, right? We go and buy more tools, more solutions, right? So on the average right now, the Security Operations Center is probably have at least 24 or more tools and trying to use between different variants of vulnerability management, endpoint, firewalls, and you name it. And also skill set, right? Cybersecurity skill set, there's a shortage now, and it's going to grow more. We're going to have more shortage in the next few years. So that's a challenge. So the idea is now, how can we move from where we are today to something next generation? What is the next generation of the Security Operations Center is going to look like? If I want to go, I want to stop being reactive, be more proactive. I want to introduce processes that helps me make a faster decision making. I want to be able to augment my existing workforce, my security analysts, give them the right tools so they can quickly react, not just manually come up with the response and take hours and hours, if not days, to resolve an issue. And that's where that's where I think machine learning and AI is going to really shine, is able to augment the human and capabilities they can do to help them quickly make decisions and respond in the cybersecurity space. So what is critical, right? We have an issue of advanced threats. We have an issue of many tools out there, many technologies. This is just a screenshot of all these technologies that you're facing every day. So we like to think that Splunk is going to help all these technologies together, bring them all together. So today, I'm sure your firewall does not talk to your endpoint solution. Your endpoint solution does not talk to the vulnerability management. You still need these different solutions to buy, patching solution, all that stuff. But then are they working correctly, right? So how do you measure success in your security operation? So by that, really, security really is an ecosystem solution, right? Bringing all this ecosystem of different technologies together and having them all talk together and bring all the data sets and be able to analyze them. That's where our mission is. So our mission is to make the data sets from all these solutions accessible to you so you can actually act on that quickly and find the problem right away before having to hire more skill set. And also, it's also about not just inbound, not just ingesting the data, but also it's taking action as well. So I want to be able to not just analyze the data, but right away quickly act on that data. So it's both really bi-directional. I want to be able to change the firewall immediately when Splunk detects that there's an issue, possibly predict there's probably a DDoS about to happen. I want quickly Splunk not just to alert me and sit down and wait for me to act. I want it to take, on my behalf, take action. And that's where we're with the power here about to do. So I want to highlight a few things. Right? We talked about Security Operations Center. We talked about various things about how you're going to tackle the problems of security. So I want to show you some demonstrations of that along those lines. This is the app, the Splunk app for Akamai. And a typical app in the Splunk world, you have the data ingest part, the data collection. So today with this app, we have just CDN data, but with the new data stream, we're going to be able to see more and analyze more data sets from Akamai. So this is a typical executive dashboard that you can see where I'm able to look at trends in my environment, look at errors, look at traffic, and plot that over time. And this is here one of my favorite one is this one, the real-time one, right? So you can actually, with Splunk, you don't have to buy a separate tool for putting like a real-time monitoring of traffic. You can do that here in Splunk and do some aggregate data. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for that. That's because I'm still on full screen. There we go. So back to what I was showing you here. This is the Splunk app for Akamai. And that's the executive dashboard where I'm able to look at various environments in my CDN environment, and then today this is the data sets, but moving forward we're doing more with Akamai along the line of incorporating more data sets from data stream into this environment. So I can use Splunk here to quickly give me like an indicator, a quick numbers here, and then be able to look at trends in my environment. I'm also able to look at quick way of aggregating that data for quick visualization here. And along the line of the user behavior, here I'm looking at what typically unique users request my environment. So all that here in the Splunk environment, you're able to actually look with this app. You can actually go back and see what search was done, right? So traffic by internet service provider, that search basically is, you can actually edit those dashboards. So as a customer, you can actually take this search and make a different one out of that. So this is on the operational side of things, looking at the content network. But what about if I want to look at my entire stack? So this is a demo showing you how you're monitoring a typical web application, and with Splunk, because I have all that data in my environment, I can actually do like multi-layers or swim lane or whatever you call it, peeling the onion. I'm able to look at the web tier. So this is a good one where actually I can have key indicators, key performance indicators that would help me quickly act. So in this case, I can be watching the end user response, for example, and if it drops down, I can click and look at what's happening on this time now that causes issue. Is it the database is in red? Do I have a drop in my database? Here you can see there's a spike in the queries. And with that, I can actually go back and drill down and look more. Maybe it's the storage or not, right? A mobile application as well. I can go back and see my environment. So basically, have all that in there. This is where I can actually use Splunk to troubleshoot any issues that I might have in my environment. Because I have all that data here. So this is one, I have able to extract from the application more meaningful data, so I can have someone who's non-technical be able to interpret the impact of my performance on the business side of things. So here you're taking the operational and infrastructure data, turning it into something meaningful from revenue, and impact and all that. And here what you see, this is a dashboard looking at predicting kind of projecting what the data cluster is going to look like eventually. Now on the security side of things, this is Splunk Enterprise Security. So imagine the same data sets from your network traffic, from your other data that we showed the ecosystem. I can actually have these alerts. So typically, the security analysts are faced every day with thousands of alerts. So how are you going to actually pick the top ones? Which one I need to make decision on? And this is where our Splunk Enterprise Security, which is a premium app on top of Splunk, is going to help you with. So we call these notable events. And these are, at any point of time, these notable events are actually, think of them like the top 10. So me as an analyst, I log in. I look at the dashboard. I see I have an uptick in my email cloud issue. Maybe there's a phishing attack starting right now. I have maybe 5 email phishing was already reported. And I'm ready to look at what else in my environment going on. So these are, at any point of time, my top 10 alerts. We call those notable events I need to look at. And I can investigate each one of them. I can click on one, and that's going to take me to now the incident response. So now I'm going through the cycle of detection based on analytics, and now I'm starting to make a decision, right? I want to analyze what's going on in my environment here. What caused this issue? So here it's giving me everything I need, all the relevant data or events related to this notable that actually triggered this. And also have a graphical if I want to see, well, there's 882 of these happening. Now, next, if I want to take an action, I can do a manual action here. I can run one atomic action. I can say file a ticket right now, right, based on this. Or I can use Phantom. So Phantom is our Splunk Phantom is a technology that we acquired last year. This is the action part, right? We talked about the outbound. I made a decision. I found the issue. Now I have, with the risk that the Splunk Enterprise Security told me, I have a high risk. This issue might be spreading in my environment. Now I want to take action. This is an example. This is Phantom. Basically, it's a dashboard based on these alerts, right? It only acts on the notable events. It does not, you don't ingest thousands of events here in Phantom. You only act on the one that matters to you. And this is, for example, we're looking at a malicious URL. This is one notable event that was actually triggered from Enterprise. So Splunk Enterprise Security feeds those notable events into Phantom. And this is what it looks like. So every event here you saw triggered what we call a playbook. So you have these events, they trigger. And this is an example of one event. It's called phishing investigation. So remember, we saw these email uptick, 5 emails starting to happen. Someone reported the phishing. So what we did here, we used Phantom actually to run a playbook. And this is what a playbook execution looks like over time. It's showing me the different steps it did. It did some who is domain. It did investigation. So if I want to examine more, whoa, which playbook was used? Like, what did it do? You know, so this is like the movie track. And now I want to actually see what was the script. I can actually look here and look at the phishing one. This is the playbook called Phishing and Investigation and Respond. So what I'm doing here, I'm loading the playbook editor. And this is going to help me show me how this playbook was put together, right? So it consists of multiple actions. And each action is tied to, remember when I showed you the nerve center? We have around 300 vendors today in our ecosystem with actions that you can use to develop these playbooks. Let's zoom in here quickly. So here you can see, you know, a phishing was reported, and what do I need to do? What do I need to first investigate the hash of the attachment. I need to look at the URL that's included in this email. And I need to check the domain reputation, look at the IP reputation, maybe all these from VirusTotal, do geolocate IP from Google, and do who is domain as well. So I have all these data sets. So basically what Phantom is doing here is actually getting more context for you. It's doing that part. But the starting point here is actually an event. It could also be coming from Splunk or from Akamai. You can have these events coming in, and then you can act on them here. So basically that playbook is going to execute these steps here in parallel, and then it's going to make decision, right? Basically, everything you see here behind the scene, it's as simple as, it's a Python, basically. And right here, here's the Python editor. So we give you the ability, the power to change a little bit if you want to customize what each node is doing, and add your own Python as well, customize. Or you don't have to do that. So basically, that playbook runs, and so the response part is right here. So more context here, more detection, more context enrichment right here, and this is now starting to do the response. Detonate the file, detonate the URL. Here, maybe I can actually change something in the firewall. I can make a change on the firewall. Or blacklisting, add a blacklist of URL, and do more things here. So this is the response part. Hunt the file. Go find the file. Maybe use like Carbon Black or Symantec to find this file in my environment. Show me other endpoints that has this file already, so I can hunt it and maybe even quarantine those devices. And also here at the end, actions happen. At the end here, we have the human. So the human can actually have an input on the playbook to approve, or maybe you can just notify the human, hey, I did these actions already. So all this is actually done in a few minutes. What actually used to take hours by a human being to do all the stuff manually and verify. So we're reducing the cycle from hours, to minutes, less than 5 minutes even. And this is important, right? We're talking about the next generation security operations center, how it looks like. And this is typically what that is. Yeah, I think this is what I wanted to mostly cover. Let's see, we have some time. Let me pause here and take some questions, actually, if I want to focus certain areas. Yes, let's get the mic first, because I'm sure you're going to have a lot of amazing questions.
On data stream, how can I correlate requests from Akamai data stream with what we have in our web logs, so that I can compare internal transaction times with customer transaction times?
So you would ingest that data into Splunk, right? And you can use the Splunk search and sub-search ability to correlate between, in that case, you have to track back the IP addresses on the node. And I'm not yet too familiar what the data stream is going to give me. But once we ingest the data stream, we'll look basically in the Splunk world, we'll look for those fields that you can correlate between that's in the log, right, in the backend. So in the log, you're going to be carrying, the host information, and then from the data stream also be carrying similar, could be an identifier for the network, and then and then be able to match them in Splunk.
So I like to match them request by request.
You can match them. You would do one search, like a formula, right? We can say, for this field, find it in this search, right? So you would match them, and then they would have, they'll be, request by request, each event from both ends, coming from both, they'll match, and they'll produce for you the one result.
What I was hoping for is a unique identifier that was added to the request that could be logged in both places. I'll check with Akamai to see if we can add that.
So so that's what you need to look for, that identifier that exists to both. And if it doesn't exist, you might have to formulate something in between, intermediary. And that's where I'm not familiar yet how the data stream is going to give you that information. That's still the new part for me, yeah. Other questions? You had a similar question? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, data stream is still new, and then we're hoping, we're going to have a lot of interesting use cases out of that beyond just performance and the actual investigation. We have a question right here.
So what logs are you pulling in that Akamai Splunk app right now? So we're getting, we pull in the security logs, right? Are there other log sets that you need to pull in? Or is it just the security log stream with the connector?
For this one, I believe it's just the CDN logs. Let me see here, 1 second.
Are you collecting the logs from the net storage or directly from the delivery, like API or?
This is cloud monitor logs.
How do you collect? Do you collect them directly, or you push them to net storage?
No, you collect them directly.
Directly?
Yeah, we have what's called an add-on.
Okay.
Here, I'll show you an example what they look like.
And just create a credential in Akamai and then use the.
So those could be a little bit legacy logs for you, but they are cloud monitor logs, the JSON. Do those look familiar?
Yep.
So Splunk can actually extract JSON on the fly.
Okay.
And this is what they look like.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Do you know if Phantom is FedRAMP certified?
It's Fed certified?
FedRAMP certified?
FedRAMP certified.
We can look it up. I just
yeah, we'll have to look it up. I have to get back to you. I don't know off the top of my head. But that would be a goal, because Splunk is, and Splunk Enterprise is. Other questions? How many of you are using today Akamai integration, Splunk, like the CDM monitor, the? Okay.
We're pulling the data in, and we have a custom-built dashboard. But I think a little more interested in seeing what log sets you're pulling in compared to what we have. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, this is just one example, but it would be interesting to see more, what we can do more. And especially in the context of, like, from my focus has been on the security side, what else you can look at in the Akamai data set. And I'm really looking forward to see more from what's in data stream that we'll bring in that's going to be very useful for you. So we can talk after this to see if that could be one to have you try out the new integration with data stream. Let's see what else we can get out of that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all. I know we have Shaquille O'Neal next, right? All right, thank you.